Hello! All right. I'm super excited. I hope you are too. Let's get started with the course because I've been talking a lot, but we haven't really learned anything yet. Now, before we dive into the core of the course and start off with the principles, I want to do a fun little exercise to get you excited about the idea that our brains are like muscles and they can be trained. Because the entire point of this course is to make you realize that you can train to be an efficient learner, to be more intelligent, and to teach you the skills that will take you far into the future. So what's this fun exercise? Well, we're going to use one of my favorite techniques when it comes to memory. And it's called the Method of Loci. Now keep in mind this is more of a fun technique than a lifelong learning technique that we will discuss later on in the course. But I want to start off with this because I guarantee you by the end of this video, you'll be wowed and excited about what you can accomplish with a simple technique like this to improve your memory. We're going to learn how to memorize a shuffled deck of cards. So what is the Method of Loci? Method of Loci is also called method of a place. Loci is place in Latin. And this technique is mentioned in Moonwalking with Einstein, a book that covers the story of memory competitions around the world, where we have people with incredible memory, how they train for their championships and competition. Very exciting, highly recommended book. But the Method of Loci isn't a recent thing. If we go to our good old friend Wikipedia, we see here that the Method of Loci was actually developed in the Roman times, where famous Romans like Cicero used it as a way for them to do long speeches, where they could memorize their speeches using the Method of Loci. But it's still one of the most used techniques for people that go into memory competitions. It's extremely effective, so let's actually learn it. Now, let's all go to this website, and I'll link to it in the resources. As you can see here, we have a deck of cards. And we can shuffle this deck of cards so that it all is in random order. There you go. And by just clicking, we get to play around with a shuffled deck of cards. Now imagine somebody shuffles these cards and gives these cards face back like this and tells you, hey, can you just memorize the entire order of these cards? Look at them once, put them down, and then see if you can remember all 52 cards in the order that you saw them. That sounds crazy, right? It sounds impossible. Well, with Method of Loci, you can actually accomplish this over a week. Now, because we don't have all day, I'm going to demonstrate to you how you can memorize right now the first 10 cards super fast. And you can go off on your own and play and see if you can memorize all 52 decks of cards. Now, before I show you the technique, try and pause the video and try this yourself. So, for example, you can shuffle the cards, pick the first 10 cards. I'm only going to do 4 for now. And then look at the first one, then the second one, then the third one, then the fourth one, and try to spend just 30 seconds memorizing the first 10 cards. Then turn them around and then see if you can say it in order. Testing yourself if you get it right. Okay, pause the video and give it a go by yourself. Once you're done, we're going to talk about the Method of Loci to learn how to make this super simple. Ready? Let's learn the Method of Loci. As we'll learn in this course, humans are really good at spatial memory. Evolutionarily, we're really good at identifying 3D things, 3D locations. But we're really bad at remembering weird types of data that we don't really are used to, such as phone numbers, such as deck of playing cards. These are meaningless things in our head that doesn't really apply to our lives. But humans are really good at these spatial recognition, as well as connecting the dots. Stories, for example, stories that flow. So how is this related to the Method of Loci? Well, based on the fact that humans are really good at stories, at connecting the dots, at 3D spaces, based on that knowledge, we use something called the memory palace. A memory palace is a location you know very well. So for example, it could be your house, it could be your school, it could be the road that you take from your house to your school. It's a physical location in your brain that you can imagine right now. So go on and pick a location. All right, that's it. So you picked a location, your memory palace. Next, we want to give meaning to our cards. So let's say the first card that you saw was the 7 of diamonds. Well, let's associate all diamonds from now with a diamond ring. So in your memory palace, in my example, I'll use my house. So I wake up in the morning, I imagine this in my head, and next to me in my bed, there's the 7 of diamonds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something completely ridiculous in my head that is memorable. So I'm going to say next to me is a slot machine that has all 7s, and that slot machine is wearing a diamond ring. So I wake up out of bed, I see this slot machine with a diamond ring, and I say, whoa, this is crazy. Then I connect the dots. Let's say the next card is a Queen of Hearts. I'm a little bit startled. I just woke up. So I'm going to open up my closet so that I can change my clothes. And then when I open up the closet, I see the Queen of Hearts. Maybe I can imagine all hearts to have a heart pendant. Or maybe the Queen of Hearts just gives me one big hug. That's memorable. So I just woke up. There's a slot machine wearing a diamond ring. I go to my closet. I get a big hug. Next, let's say I walk down the hallway. And down the hallway, I encounter the 8 of clubs. Well, 8 of clubs, I can just imagine maybe an hourglass. Or maybe a really fat person with a belt around their waist. And that person is, let's say, a leprechaun with a funky leprechaun hat to symbolize a clubs. So that person does a little dance around me and maybe kicks me in the shin. That really hurts and I'm angry. I'm really confused. Next, I go down the stairs and I encounter the Ace of Spades. Now, let's associate Ace with, in this case, it could just be me, Andre, because my name starts with an A. And the spades, maybe Andre at the bottom of the stairs is digging a hole in your house. How dare he? That again makes you really angry. Now, what I've just told here is the memory palace technique. It sounds ridiculous, but those images are now memorable in my head. And more importantly, there is a connection, a storyline between these things in my memory palace. That is, in my location, a 3D space that I recognize, I can now visually remember these things. For example, I know that I wake up next to a slot machine, so 7 of diamonds with a slot machine wearing a ring. I open up the closet and this queen that I've never met before gives me a giant hug and squeezes me. I go down the hallway and this leprechaun, a fat leprechaun with a belt around his waist, kicks me in the shin. Now I'm hopping around, walking downstairs, and downstairs at the bottom of the stairs, I see myself, Andre, digging a hole. So I start yelling and get really angry. Now, although that's really silly, that is more memorable now. I really identify these objects as certain things. And in the future, I can continue this further. I can walk to the kitchen. I can walk to the basement. I can even walk to my school. It's a location that I can associate each card with a place, something ridiculous happening in a location. And the beauty of this technique is that it's really easy for me to remember things in reverse because each one of these things has meaning now. So I can go from down the stairs, down the hallway, into the closet, and back into bed, and you remember things just as well. How cool is that? So, based on what you just learned, go back to this exercise. Shuffle the deck of cards, pick 10 cards in a row, and spend, let's say, 1 minute looking at all these cards in a row. Memorize them. Create that storyline with each of the cards. Just spend 1 minute, then turn them around. Go drink a cup of coffee, maybe go for a walk, and then come back and see if you can remember those 10 cards. By using the memory palace technique, I bet you were able to remember those 10 cards very easily without having to constantly repeat them in your head because you've created a storyline, connected the dots. Congratulations. You're just getting started, and this was something fun to just show you the power we have in learning to learn. This course isn't just about memory tricks like this. We will learn principles, techniques, and mindsets to really change our perspective on learning and succeed. The goal is to learn the foundational skills of zero to mastery, how to go from zero to mastering a topic in the most efficient way possible. We still have a long way to go, but I promise you that if you do all exercises and follow the course, it will have a long-lasting effect on your learning skill throughout your life. These are the skills that I have used throughout my life to achieve success, but it's also the skills and techniques that have been created way before me, like we saw with the Method of Loci. These are proven techniques that we're going to learn throughout the course. So, let's dive in to the principles section.